This is RSBANDB Update, episode 559, recorded Friday, March 25th, 2016, The Great Brassican Hypothesis. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for RSBANDB Update. Colton is here this week.
Good evening, everyone.
And also joining us is Draziw, or Draz, from Clan Quest. Love him or hate him, here he is.
Hi, everybody.
And, of course, your lowly co-host, the least important one here. At least I think so, myself, Mr. Shane.
No. Here we go, with the modesty and all that shit.
Too humble.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah,
okay.
If you're awesome, own it. You can't help it.
Yeah, you're right. And, I mean, I normally have no problem doing that, but I thought I'd just do that.
Behind Colton, you're the most famous person I know.
Wow. Okay, then. All right. I wasn't gonna... I have ideas of people who might be more famous, but we'll save that for later, perhaps. So this week is...
Basically, my list is Colton, Shane, and Donald Trump.
Oh, right on that.
Donald?
Yeah, so...
Okay, well, we can talk about how you know him later, but... This week's Easter update arrived in RuneScape, and it is called Sliske and the Chocolate Factory. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way right here at the beginning and say that when I was younger, the movie and the book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, was perhaps one of my most hated movies.
The original one, yes.
So you're going into this
Both
with a
of them.
slight bias. Is that what you're telling us?
Pretty much. So,
Okay.
I'll be honest, everyone else can crucify me next to Shane then. The original one, I hated it. And even the remake with Johnny Depp, I was not a big fan.
Oh, that one was even worse.
I appreciate Johnny Depp as an actor, even though most people found that performance to be rather lacking. I kind of get that creepy, weird, like it itches somewhere at the back of my brain, and I just can't seem to get rid of it. So I kind of understand what you mean.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, the book is good, the movies aren't. But regardless, everybody knows the story, so basing a story in game off of it, loosely basing it, that's reasonable to me.
Oh, yeah. No, I like the update. My update opinions were not wholly based on
the movie.
Yeah, my preconceptions.
Yeah, and I mean, same here too. But I mean, I just feel, could we have not found something maybe a little bit more original, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, what else are you going to talk about for Easter? It's not like it's a fairly religious holiday.
It is, and I mean, they could maybe go in that direction, but I don't have any fleshed out ideas
3 days
for that.
in a tomb, you know what I mean? That's a little bit.
And we can only do Easter like egg hunting type stuff with the Easter Bunny so many times.
How'd you know that's what I wanted to do?
Well, because I know that's kind of I'm pretty sure you've mentioned it before, where that's been your favorite kind of event, like making toys for Santa, that kind of thing. I mean, I understand it's nice, but doing it once is great. Doing it 10 times, can we have something fresh? You know,
that's called recycling content.
Yeah,
which is not good. But
precisely, and I felt like this was, I felt like it was a good move. I felt like the content can stand alone, outside of the trope that it follows. So I thought
I'll be honest, but the only issue I had with this is the fact that Sliske is the main antagonist. Like, I'm so tired of him being the bad guy in every story.
Well, he may be dead by the end of the year, so
I know.
Savor your time with him.
Praise Brassican.
Savor your time with Sliske. Wow. Anyway, so you start this off, and there's 4 rooms that you need to go through, and this is all part of getting a tour of the chocolate factory. But first, something happens that you guys can tell me whether it's cringeworthy or the best part of the quest. I'm going to play a bit of a soundbite right now.
All right.
All right, and then the next line in the song is murdering Gothics and making you sad. So
I'm gonna just say that I was very amused with that song.
All right.
It was a good reference to something that almost every person playing this game knows.
Yeah, and
it was creative. I liked it.
When I first saw the behind the scenes and I saw they were going to be singing this, I thought, oh dear, this is going to be one of the most cringeworthy events that there has been so far. And I do have to say that as they worked through the song, that look of surprise and shock turned to a smile, and then I actually let out a laugh, believe it or not.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, no, I was pleased. The song got me started off on the right.
Yeah, that's true.
And I like how they used the mini Barrows bobbleheads as the sort of Oompa Loompa stand-ins. That to me added, because Oompa Loompas, I think that might have been why I hated the movies so much. God, these little orange creatures that just looked like they'd been squashed. I was not a fan, and the creepy songs that they sang, but this was it was cuter to me, and I was able to let go of my terror associated from my childhood and enjoy the event and the song.
All right. So we're doing a lot of reflecting here on the movie. Let's move forward into the 4 rooms. The first one is the milk churning room. Basically, in this one, well, throughout the entire process of this quest, you need to knock people out in order so that you're the last one surviving at the end of the contest, much like what happens in the movie, once again. Follows the same plot, so I think everyone knew where we were going with this. And, of course, did you guys notice that you get called a cow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Numerous times. I
didn't really understand the point of that joke. I thought it was just like, oh, haha, we're being called a cow. But
they called me a cow. I was offended. I'm going to be writing a letter to Jagex.
Well, cows are sacred in some countries, right?
Oh,
that's true.
So that's another way to look at it.
Right. Well, but that's blasphemy because... Oh, I don't even want to get into that.
Yeah, let's not step into other people's religious territories too hard now.
No, that's not what I mean. I worship Brassican, and that's it. Anyway.
So anyways, in the milk churning room, you need to knock one of your competitors out, and of course the one you want to do in this case is Wendy. You get her to go stand near the pit, and then you reverse the direction of some of the pots of milk that feed the cows, and then, lo and behold, she falls down into the pit. I don't know about you guys, but I found this very, not terrifying. I was going to say terrifying, but hilarious and satisfying to knock someone into a pit like that.
You are a dark person.
Wow, Shane.
I don't know. That's just the first reaction that came to me.
Just like this deep, like sadistic. Ooh, yes.
Can you make a fake laugh for me really quick, Shane? Yeah, see, that sounds like a villain, doesn't it, Colton?
Yeah, about as close as it gets. Emotionless, doesn't feel any remorse.
That's exactly what you got to be an executioner sometimes, but not that I've done that. Anyways, after you move on past this, the next room is a puzzle room in which you must solve a standard puzzle box. This is very much like the kind of puzzles that you see on Treasure Trail, so there's not too much to write home about here. So you guys enjoyed this, the high-quality, very detailed puzzle box?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Triggered a little PTSD, but it was nice. No, I'm kidding.
I'm not gonna lie, it took me about 2 minutes to do. It was
good.
I was slightly irritated about a minute and a half into it.
Why was that?
Getting the bottom row to line up took me more
yeah.
thought than I normally am used to just clicking and it. So I was like, oh darn it, I gotta actually pay attention.
Yeah.
See now had it been a Celtic knot, that would have made me mad.
The Celtic knots really aren't all that bad, though.
I know, and you told me how to solve them, and I know how to solve them, but I don't like them. I just don't.
Okay.
You'll never convince me.
So the next room is the chocolate folding room, which is exactly as it sounds, except rather than actually folding chocolate, you do it magically through portals, and the entire room is warped, let's just say, in terms of camera view angle. So what do you guys think of this room?
Disorienting.
It really was disorienting.
It was busy work to me. I mean, oh no, if you turned the arrows straight up and down, it didn't change the view at all.
Yeah, that's right. And
so
at the end of the day, all you really needed to do is pick up the chocolate from the first room and then just keep going through portals and throwing levers when you could, and eventually you would end up with the right kind of piece of chocolate that you wanted, and then you bring that.
So it wasn't a puzzle. It was
just a way of, okay, we're going to disorient you, move through the portals, and so on and so forth.
Wasting 3 minutes of my time clicking.
It was just kind of a...
It was an interesting look at changing the view. Unfortunately, I generally play the game from top view.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't overly disorienting to me, truth be told.
Yeah, and I mean, what they're doing here, I was imagining when playing through this, it's like, okay, so we need an idea for a puzzle in this third room, guys. So what can we do? Oh, you remember that time that we had a bug with the camera where the camera was upside down and mirrored? Yeah, let's let the players play through something like that. That's, in my view, how they probably came to this puzzle.
Yeah.
Because that's certainly what it looks like, what happened with the camera. So.
But it wasn't a puzzle, so that's...
Well, puzzle, little roadblock, let's call it then. So.
Sure. It was an interesting look at, because they had to have candy theme. And that was it. Folding chocolate. That's a good. I liked that joke of it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not something we've done in RS before, so might as well have that as a theme of this part of the quest, right?
Yep. Props.
All right, so the next part of the quest dealt with the decanting room, in which you must solve a logic puzzle that requires you to fill up certain bottles when you only are given, I believe, a 0.5 liter, or no, a 1.5 liter and a 3.5 liter bottle, right?
It was 4 and 1.
4 and 1.
4 and 1.
Yeah.
And you have to make a half. Oh, goodness.
1.5.
Half, 1.5, and a 3.5.
Yeah. So this is very much like those puzzles where you have a chicken, a fox, and some other animal, and you can't bring them all across the river at one point, so you got to come back and forth and do something like that.
There's no river, chicken, or fox on this puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. But it's the same. It's the same principle here, and I mean, you get it after a while of maybe brute forcing it. But I don't know. I enjoyed this thinking part. How about you guys?
Oh, yeah. This was
a good puzzle.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Draz.
That was a good puzzle.
And
to me, this is my favorite part of the entire thing. Have you guys ever seen? Maybe this is just me. Die Hard. I think it's 3. Die Hard 3. Anyone?
Yeah, I've seen it.
With the movie in the water.
Yeah, exactly. And they have like a 4-gallon and a 1-gallon, and they're trying to. It kind of reminded me of that, and I don't know. I just love those sorts of puzzles where you have to sort of think several moves ahead of yourself to try and find out what combination of dilutions and pouring out and whatnot will get you to the correct answer. So I thought it was nice. I thought it was something that's not very often used in RuneScape, and so I thought it was a good change of pace.
Yeah, and plus it's very original too. We haven't had it at all for a quest before. So.
Yeah.
And it should be noted that what you're trying to fill is actually bubbly water, so that the person will drink it, and then they will float to the ceiling and not be able to come down, leaving you the last person in sole contention of receiving Sliske's gift at the end of this quest. Now, back to the movie for a second. I seem to remember a case of someone getting stuck on a ceiling in the movie. That happened, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just had to be sure about that.
I think in this exact situation.
Except they didn't have to fill up the bottles and do the logic puzzle. Yes?
No, the kids were just stupid.
Well, and maybe that's part of the reason why I didn't like the movie, because I knew stupid even back then.
Well, see, but you're Charlie.
I don't want to be that. But anyways, let's move on. Let us move on. And then the last part of this is a maze of whites. I don't know. To me, this was the most infuriating part of the quest.
I didn't realize it was was it a problem?
Well, it was a problem to me because I just felt as though I was having a bad connection at the time, and I was caught a couple of times when I should not have been caught for this. Well,
I was not caught once. Other than when I first walked in and realized, oh, they can see me. I didn't get caught a second time.
All right.
So.
How about you, Colton? How did this go for you?
I didn't have too much difficulty. To me, it was kind of just like the sorcerer's garden, I think, is what it is.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's it.
That one that you teleport to from Alcarid, basically just like a Metal Gear type mechanic where NPCs are going through their walk cycle and you just have to avoid them. I mean, we've seen it in quests a few times before, so.
Yeah, and then just toss the chocolate at them and then they disappear.
I'm not going to lie. This whole time I thought you were talking about the witch's garden in Taverley. I just realized we were talking about the mini game. Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Sorry. Just laughing at stupidity.
Did you guys hear the sounds of the quest during this part? Specifically the sound of a person, losing his or her lunch after being thrown the chocolate?
Oh, yeah. That was possibly... it was a little unsettling.
There's also a very prominent belch in the previous room that we were talking about, the bubbly room.
Are you offended by the sound of bodily functions?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I just wanted to point this out because they were very detailed and they sounded as though they were actually people doing this. So I don't know. The belch was obviously real, but I don't know if they, made someone regurgitate food or whatnot.
Maud Osborne's bulimic.
That's not a rumor. We're going to start on this podcast.
That's how he keeps his
Sorry, Maud Osborne.
live figure.
Oh, my.
All right. I didn't know we were going to go that way. But anyways, you work your way to the end of this maze, avoiding the various people that you've deposed so far. And then at the end, you talk to Sliske, and quest complete. So... overall, nice little Easter event. I guess if we were packaging this for players, it could be marketed as a way of experiencing a quest without actually doing a quest per se. Maybe.
I could see that. It's sort of. I mean, it's about the length of some quests out there.
Yeah.
And about the depth of some as well. So it's about a novice quest. So
only this one's got Sliske involved.
Mm-hmm. And then at the end, you are rewarded with an endless gobsmacker. I mean, a gobspitter, or a gobstalker. Stopper, I mean. I don't know.
Wow.
Whatever
Say
it's
that
called.
For me again?
Endless
no,
gobstopper.
You're a Godsmack fan. All right.
Is that a band?
Yes, like a metal band, Shane.
Oh, okay. You listen to them, Colton?
I've listened to them before.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you listen to music.
I listen to much music.
You think he's a talk radio kind of guy?
I do like talk radio as well, so.
Oh, well, there we go.
All right. So that's the quest. And also you do get a little emote, and the option to go back into the factory to receive some invention components by disassembling some various machinery as an after-quest reward. So that's what you can ultimately do after this quest. So I just want to highlight one thing here. The gobstopper, you lick it, and every time you lick it, it keeps a count, and then every 50 times you lick it, you glow a certain color.
For a second, right?
Yeah.
Click 50 times to change colors for a second. Yay.
And then it resets after 400 tries.
If it were something where it would stick for like even if it were 60 seconds, I feel like it would be worth it. But I don't know, a second seems a little bit. It's like a really, really sucky ring of stone.
Yeah. And then there's this emote too, which, I mean, okay, it's basically like the trick or treat emote, except with an Easter bunny, and then Sliske appears at the end of it. I mean, okay, that's to be expected with an event, but I don't know, I just kind of felt underwhelmed with the gobstopper.
Yeah. Well, that's basically like kicking a cabbage from Falador all the way to Oglog, and then all you get is a few fireworks.
Yeah, I guess. But, I mean, at least with the cabbage, that was kind of entertaining to do, right?
No, it wasn't. I don't know. What you... That was a long time ago. I'm sure your memory is faded.
But we'd never kicked a cabbage before that.
True.
We haven't licked gobstoppers, have we?
Yeah, let's use that logic.
All right. Fair enough.
No, I don't know. I think it was underwhelming as well. I mean,
yeah, it was. It's just not a.
It's not a piece of content that, I mean, like I think the cabbage, other people can kick it, correct? Or is it just you?
Other people could kick it, which made it really difficult to get to Oglog. But...
Yeah, and that's what's fun about it. It's an interactable piece of content, whereas the gobstopper is untradeable. It sits in your inventory, and the only reason people know that you have it is because you might glow if you put in the effort.
If I were going to release Easter content, I would release Easter eggs that you can fill with something and you can hide.
Oh, that'd be good. That would be good, definitely, from a community perspective.
I don't know why they haven't done that sort of thing.
And so you could fill your Easter egg with 50 GP and hide it, and somebody else can come
50?
up and pick it up. 50 million. I don't care how much you put in there. You could put prizes in it. You know, you could put 5 next pieces in it so that there's enough for you to have incentive to go find it. And then make a community event out of it.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good.
It's like a drop party, except scattered
it's
across.
hidden
I don't know. I wanted 50 GP and have millions of little Easter eggs everywhere, but Shane was like, I wouldn't waste my time for no 50 GP. I drop that on the ground, I don't pick it up.
Oh, no, I'd go hunting Easter eggs, definitely. And, I mean, that goes back to what I said about the traditional aspect of the Easter events, which I like. So that's a splendid idea for a reward right there. But
you know, and it's the same concept. You know, they used to have snowballs that you could throw at each other. There's things that basically any kind of an event like this, you want a reason for people to interact with each other. And that's why we don't like the gobstopper, because it's, first off, it has no real benefit. It only lasts for a second after you do 50 clicks of it. Or was it, 50 clicks, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not worth it. Nobody will even see that.
Yeah, they don't even see it when it's holding it in your hand when you're doing the action with it.
You have to literally be watching somebody and notice that they change color, and then it lasts for a second. So you think, oh, my screen just had a short and the color went off. You don't even think that the gobstopper came into effect.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously there are some issues with that, but overall, it's not an infuriating event to go through, and I mean, at the end of the day, the song is kind of fun.
Truth be told, the event in and of itself and the enjoyment I got playing it was worth it. I don't need a reward.
All right. Yeah, that's fair, actually. Splitting it that way, it feels like a quest, and anytime you can do a quest, I guess that's rewarding.
Sometimes you just do things to spend some time and enjoy a story that somebody created. The fact that they need to release a reward every time is kind of a shame on us as a community for making them think that that's necessary.
Yeah, that's very true. Right on.
Good perspective.
All right, I don't think there's anything else to mention about the Easter Sliske and the Chocolate Factory Gobsmacker event.
Did you go back and disassemble the machines, Shane?
Not yet.
Oh, there's another the Tara machine that you have to disassemble is another great puzzle. It's like a just standard slider, but much more complicated. It was rather enjoyable for me to solve it. So
oh, good.
I would recommend it to anyone who has neglected to return. Go back and check it out. It's another nice piece of content, and it gives you some useful invention stuff. So check it out.
Yeah, invention materials are always useful. Draz, you go back for that yet?
No, I have not.
All right. Yeah, I'll have to do that this weekend.
I've been a bit busy this week, as you know, and I actually ended up doing it this evening prior to getting on here.
Oh, okay.
So I did not have time to go and play with all the final aspects of it.
All right, fair enough then. Fair enough. We're going to go through some patch notes now. A really light set of patch notes this week. First up, it's now easier to click on charm sprites. For anyone who remembers or is not aware, charm sprites is a way of combining hunter and summoning experience to make your own summoning charms. Definitely one of my favorite pieces of content out there that people don't really do anymore. So it's located south of Ardoin, so you can go, or north of Ardoin, sorry. Go have a look and click on the charm sprites easier than you were able to before. Back when I was going to be getting 99 summoning, had the bonus XP weekend not come around, this was actually the way I was going to make the rest of my charms, believe it or not, and get some hunter XP in the process. So it's definitely an interesting activity out there for anyone who hasn't done it. I would recommend going to have a look at it today, just because, you know, it's been in the game so long, and I feel like we forget about these updates until they're mentioned here, right?
Yeah. I mean, I did charm sprites for Hunter for a while. I mean, I did it for the Yaktui Hunter stick, Majiggy.
Right.
I enjoyed that. It was a refreshing piece of content.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I got 9800, because I needed the charms and I don't do combat.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. So once again, go check this update out, because I know there's lots of you who just need to find the best way to get those charms from those various combat creatures. But no, this is actually going to be funner than doing combat, believe me.
Yes, much funner.
Much more fun. There we go. I fixed it. The severed leg can no longer be disassembled.
I thought they fixed this.
No, that was the corpse of the woman. And the monkeys.
Interesting.
All these body parts can no longer be disassembled.
Oh, God.
I just want to know who's testing that.
Well, I mean, it kind of creates
it's not exactly
a sense.
Easy to come by, is it?
No, but at the same time, you say, "Oh, I'm disassembling a severed leg." How does that sound? Hence why these are so funny, and then they just work their way into the patch notes like this.
I think Jagex just puts them in there so we have stuff to talk about.
Maybe.
This is a really short list.
Severed leg is given by Ghost Form and General Khazard in the General Shadow mini quest.
Oh, okay. So it is fairly obscure then.
Yeah. Melee familiars will now stay next to their targets instead of constantly running back to the owner. Finally. I never got why they did that, but about time.
Yeah.
Toggling retro skill capes in the miscellaneous settings interface now also changes the player's quest point cape.
Yay!
All right.
The only cape I have.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I think the original quest point cape is still the best one.
Yeah.
I think the Master Quest cape is the best.
Yes, Colton. Yes, Colton.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
And you can also get a Chronicle open beta book companion pet. If that's not more words put together than I've ever seen, then we'll have to add that to the list later for the question we have. But this book can be used as an override for any of your followers, or if you use the book, it gives you a 5% XP boost for an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, indeed.
Players can no longer activate their keep safe completion escape overrides if they no longer meet the requirement to wear it. What?
I
So
guess
people who had the completion escape are wearing the override without the ability to wear the completion escape. Well done.
Yeah,
like it.
and maybe that's why the complaints for the amount of comp content has gone down. If people are just able to use an override.
Yeah, there's going to be a new start of people complaining after this update.
Oh, we're perhaps digging into the wrong section of the population here, but anyways, that was my list from the patch notes. You guys have anything else on here that jumps out at you? They're very thin this week.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see anything of real interest.
Players no longer retain their life point boosts after loading an empty bank reset.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where you'd come up with something like that, but it's good that's been fixed.
Yeah.
All right, so this week we do have a treasure hunter promotion to deal with Easter that is called, you ready for this? Flight of the Butterflies. I don't know if that kind of theme should go with it, but maybe this is what Jagex was thinking internally. I don't know. We'll end that right now, but... So, this is basically a mini game within Treasure Hunter. You start at the middle, and as you get more Treasure Hunter keys throughout the weekend, you will have the ability to basically open up all the little doors, or what looks like doors, on the butterfly symbol. Very enticing for people to buy keys, apparently, I guess. I saw someone saying this week that they spent $50 on keys to do this. So it is working in that regard. But I don't know.
All it did was annoy me when I logged in and tried to use my keys.
It basically put you through a tutorial, right?
Yep.
Which, I mean, did we really need this? Because
I don't like the change of interface. Sorry, Jagex.
Yeah, because if you're doing it with this, you're ultimately going to be not able to get through the entire web of the butterfly this weekend unless you buy keys.
I didn't like the goblin. I was happy when they brought the pretty lady on top of treasure chests, but now it's a butterfly, and I feel like I've gone back to the goblin. What's going on here?
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, there's nothing really special here aside from the fact you can get jars of butterflies that you can release that gives you tons of XP.
But only in your lowest skill, right?
Yes, in your lowest skill. That's right.
Which isn't, I mean, that's great, but some people like to use their stuff on a skill other than their lowest.
Mm-hmm, indeed. Apparently, if you focus on the inner wing nodes of the butterfly at the end of each path, you get a prize that is at least the matching level of color rarity. So you might get something better. So basically, what that means is that if you get to the end of a node, you can get something that's rarer than you would ordinarily. So it's, in a way, a bit of an attempt to control rarity on Treasure Hunter, or let you control rarity on Treasure Hunter. So,
am I the only one that feels all this butterfly like lowest XP or lowest XP skill stuff is getting rather hackneyed and overused? I don't know. First of all, I have a bit of a beef with the Gathixian butterflies that are still a thing. how many years after he's died, and they've just become a perennial fixture. And
yeah, they bring him out every year.
Exactly, that it's become a fixture of the game, and they're extraordinarily overpowered. I don't know.
Recycled content.
I feel like
they recycle it. They don't have to create new stuff.
Exactly.
It just adds to the banality of like throwing. It's just another daily, except it's a seasonal that's become like a daily. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that kind of content that has been thrown at us time and time again. And the fact that
I like getting range XP.
And I like getting farming XP, but
that's your lowest skill?
It's my lowest skill, okay? I know, Shane.
Shane,
don't hurt me.
how have you let him do this?
I'm the yin to the yang.
Oh, he's quite all right. He's quite all right.
It's 93 farming. It's not too low, but it's still, I don't know. And this treasure hunter event to me seems really convoluted and confusing.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah, I don't like it.
But at the end of the day, there's a chance of receiving an Aurelian Cape, which is fancy word speak for butterfly. Comes with 4 charges, one of which can be activated each day, and you get a butterfly for XP in your lowest skill.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to remember to do it 4 days in a row. That's cool.
Yeah. Also, advance through more prestige levels on your butterfly, and you'll unlock a necklace, which, when worn with the cape, improves the XP gained from the cape by a further 10%. Advance to prestige level 5, and you'll be rewarded with a unique butterfly teleport unlock, which can be activated and used accordingly as a home or quick teleport. And there's also a chance to win butterfly tokens, which can immediately finish off the remaining nodes and prestige you to the next level. So that each time you prestige that entire butterfly is when you get one of these rewards. So that's how many keys we're talking about here.
Okay, I'll put it this way. Contrary to most players, I feel, I am perfectly okay with Jagex putting content into the game that helps to make them more money. Because I'm of the opinion that as long as Jagex makes money, the game will continue to be updated and I will have fun stuff to play.
Exactly.
So I simply am not going to spend my real world money on purchasing this, and I've got enough money in game to buy keys to probably play this specific treasure hunter content to its completion, but I just don't have any interest.
Yeah,
I'm all for them making money as well. I just think they overreached with this. I think they tried to make it fun and interesting, and I think it was, I don't know.
But at the end of the day, it's not overpowered.
Yeah, exactly.
So if people want to spend their money, let them.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That's the way I see Treasure Hunter, really. There's only been a few things that were really overpowered when I think about it. So,
like what?
Silverhawk boots in their initial.
Yeah, there's one. There's one.
Okay, that's
basically all the skill outfits that require you to combine 3 or 4 different iterations, like the magic golem, the ethereal outfit, all that stuff.
Shark outfit.
Yep.
We used to get these for free from in-game, from events like temple trekking for the lumberjack outfit. So those kind of things, I don't have a problem with them being there, but I feel it's not within the spirit of what we had back in the olden days.
Well, the hope is that any content that is released through Treasure Hunter should realistically be attainable in-game, even if it takes ungodly amount of time to get it.
Yes.
Like lumberjack used to be a real pain in the posterior.
Yeah, and it's really easy to get now. So
yeah, but I'd be okay with it being 1,000 times more difficult than it is to get on Treasure Hunter. Because I'll just spend 1,000 times more time in game.
And that's what they need to, look at starting to do a Treasure Hunter to balance some of these things out, because they would make great content updates on their own as rewards for certain pieces of content, like some of us were talking about last November.
Yeah.
Outside the podcast.
The reality is that most people who are purchasing keys and utilizing Treasure Hunter content now would continue to do so regardless of if that content existed in-game alongside Treasure Hunter.
Oh, yeah, they like the bonus XP and the chance of getting something rare.
Yeah.
Because it's basically like real-world gambling, except without the chance of losing all your money, because you are guaranteed to get something with this.
Or winning any money.
Yeah, there you go.
Because you're spending real world money and getting content in game.
Yeah, and I mean, lots of people put emphasis into that. So I know we've had skill months before where it's been admitted that $400 worth of bonus XP was spent.
Wow. Jeez.
Yes. Anyways, that's enough talking about Treasure Hunter right now. We do have something in the questions about that, believe it or not.
Yo, spoilers.
Indeed. All right, so
Excited.
Easter. We had an Easter event or a spring event a couple years ago, Brassica Prime versus Marimbo, and that, of course, means that Brassica Prime, the cabbage, does have a role to play in the game known as RuneScape. So, believe it or not, there is someone in this podcast today that is a massive fan of Brassica Prime and has a theory about what that cabbage is ultimately up to. So,
all right,
let's hear this, Draz. Let's
see.
Hear
you want to hear the long theories? You got me on, right?
Yes,
okay.
We did.
Anyone is listening to my opinion of Brassica Prime and cabbage has to keep in mind that I've been playing the game since 2001, and as strange as it is, cabbage and then Brassica Prime are pieces of content within the game since as old as 2001. Back in the day, there were really 4 main wizards in the game, and that was Frederick Trayborn, Latia Aubrey, who was the rune master in Varrock. You had Melzar the Mad, and you had Dionysius, who's the wise old man. Okay, so the wise old man, Trayborn, Melzar, and Aubrey are basically the 4 biggest magical names in the game when it's originally released. And all 4 of them had content that you could talk to them, and they discuss cabbages and the fact that cabbages are the source of magic. And why is that? It's because if you're outside the game and you're playing RuneScape as a player and you're realizing this is a game created by people, it's because Andrew and Paul Gower had that inside joke, and they created content throughout the game all over. Originally, the censor, if you were to write in a bad word, it replaced that word with cabbage. Did you know that, Colton?
Yeah.
Oh, see, you know everything. And if you were to go into like the notes tab, which doesn't really exist now that we have had an interface update, but we used to have a notes tab, and if you were to type Andrew into the notes tab, it would change it to cabbage. So there's all kinds of different things about cabbage that most players don't really realize. Like, it's the most spawns of any individual item within the game, having 340, I think it's 6 spawns, separate spawns throughout the game. The second place is bones. So there are actually more spawns of cabbage than anything else that occurs in the game, which is like, okay, wow. So cabbage in the old RuneScape, before we really had a change of content creators, back when the Gowers were doing it, you had people like Melzar, right? Did you know that Melzar made the first reference to the Stone of Jas?
Really?
Yeah, and what was it called?
Some cabbage of some sort.
The Cabbage of Jas. It was made in a Slayer update in 2007. And so, exactly. So the Stone of Jas, as a piece of content, has become very important in modern lore within the game. But its first mention is actually Cabbage of Jas. And so when we look at cabbage as important to the game, you can talk to Melzar now. Melzar is a person who the majority of players don't really recognize or remember, because most of us played Dragon Slayer Quest a long time ago, and Melzar is a very unimportant NPC. Mm-hmm. But as far as free-to-play players are concerned, he's one of, I believe, 3 NPCs that use 2 attack styles. He's not an overly difficult character to beat, but he is important within the lore of the free-to-play world. And in the old RuneScape world, he's pretty important. He's got his own section in the map, etc. So go talk to him about cabbage and see what he has to say. With all that said, okay, they've released the God Wars dungeon. They have released, all the gods. We've had Guthix die and all the stuff. Spoilers, sorry. All the stuff associated with the 6th Age makes a lot of that stuff seem moot or unimportant or no longer relevant. But let's look at a couple things pertinent to Cabbage and Brassican Prime that you just can't ignore. First and foremost is the fact that he is the only god we know of who ignored the Edicts of Guthix. Why?
I don't know.
Some people would say it's because, well, he didn't fight in the God Wars, so Guthix didn't care. But neither did V or Saren. Oh no, I'm sorry, not V. No, V didn't fight in the God Wars, did he?
No.
Yeah. So V and Saren, but neither of them were allowed to pass edicts. So why is Guthix allowed to? And if we're following that logic, Marimbo did. I don't believe Marimbo followed the Guthix or the edicts either. So there's the argument then being that maybe he's too weak.
Yeah.
But you can't use the too weak argument because he's the only god that doesn't flee when the dragon can show up. And his statement is, I don't care if I burn, that makes me more tasty. And tastiness, according to him, is the absolute power. In fact, if another god were to eat him, it would simply make Brassica Prime more powerful.
Go on.
So, and these are lines that are in the game. So if you follow the logic of all of these things, it starts to look like, you talk to, for example, Saren. He's the only god who knew where the pieces of Saren were at.
Mm-hmm.
You actually went and talked to the different pieces of Saren, much to her, as she says, I didn't reply, and he thought that meant that I was interested, much to my chagrin. But he knows where she's at. So he's powerful enough to know where another god's pieces are at, which they're broken into small pieces. He's powerful enough to break the edicts. He's powerful enough to not be afraid of the dragonkin. He's powerful enough to not be interested in the Stone of Jas, because, as he says, I don't need it. I'm more powerful than that anyway. And so you have to ask yourself, if you are a god present at an announcement that gods should be fighting each other for a competition, and those who fight each other will get the Stone of Jas, why don't all the other gods mess with Brassica if he's there? And he hasn't left. So they all know where he's at, and nobody's going to go kill him, but they're killing other gods. He seems like an easy target, doesn't he?
He's just sitting right there on the Empyrean Citadel.
Yep. Hasn't left. He is cushioning his leaves. So the way that Brassica talks, and all the other gods say that he's crazy. In fact, the only thing that Brassica has to say about the other gods is he's slightly pissed off that Sarah Dolman killed some cabbages in what quest is that?
Death of Chivalry.
Death of Chivalry. And he says, you know, he's mildly irritated about that. And there are multiple references from JMods in forums and in different, you know, updates and stuff for their podcasts, etc., where they're talking about how, especially at the time when that happened, they're talking about how Brassica will not forget that, and it will be noted later. So, in my opinion, Brassica Prime is the strongest god. Our lore and our understanding of it is based only on what we have read and what we know. And if you were the strongest god of all the gods readily present, would you let everyone know that you're the strongest god? It doesn't make sense. So, I don't know. This is coming from a guy who really liked the jokes, the subtle humor of Cabbage back when they existed in the olden days of RuneScape. And then I really appreciated the April Fool's jokes and all the humor that was associated with it 2007, 2009 that involved Brassica and Cabbage. You know, and so I've liked Cabbage. I've got a large Cabbage collection, etc. But as you look at the lore and the way that it's developing now, it certainly seems like you can't ignore the fact that all these gods could go and just kill Brassica and take his powers, but they don't. He says he's more stronger than everybody. You know, if you read his, let me pull up the actual. Give me a second. And this is what gets me. All right, when you talk to him about power, he says. Somebody talks. So I can find this. I don't completely leave the chat silent.
I'm just totally confused. Maybe not confused. I guess following the logic is simple. It just seems like so tinfoil hat to me that is...
Okay. Well, so he says that deliciousness is the most powerful source of power in... Now, that could be a code for anything, but...
This is Jagex.
Hey, I like my microfoil, my tinfoil hat. But he says that microcabbages form the world around us, and it flows through the cosmos, infusing every living thing, thus binding them together. And from the tiniest, most humblest cabbage to the giant space cabbages that will soon arrive to enslave humanity, all are connected by the deliciousness, and that deliciousness spills from him. So, that sure sounds a little...
But couldn't deliciousness be code for something like the anima?
Yeah.
Or it could just be a joke.
Or it could just
be a joke, sure. But the thing is if it is a joke, that's fine. But they have created a joke character who plays a pertinent role in the lore. And as such, if there were a jester in the lore, and you don't acknowledge him as the jester and treat him as a jester, then you are, by consequence, acknowledging that he is greater than a jester. And that's a common thing to do in stories.
You're right.
That brings me to my final point. It's very easy to make a guy seem like he's unimportant or seem like he doesn't know anything, and then he turns out to be the great wizard. I mean, they do that in all kinds of stories. Look at Yoda, And so I'm not saying that Brassica Prime is the most powerful god ever or anything like that. I'm just saying that he's more powerful than we've been let on with our understanding of current lore. And I have talked to Mod Osborne in person.
That's where I was going to go next.
And he said that 2016 is the year of the cabbage.
Well, isn't that because of the Gowers, though?
Yeah, but who made the game? So it gets down to, our lore is tied into the fact that people are creating this. And so we look at it from a lore perspective, and we look at it from a game creator perspective, and both lead to the same general decision that Brassica Prime is more important than he currently appears to be.
So in your theoretical endgame of cabbaginess, does he take control of this whole thing? Does he commandeer Sliskay's whole countdown? Is he has this whole thing with the other gods been just a big red herring, and we've been ignoring the largest power of all, being the cabbage among us? He's
the ultimate power behind everything that's going on.
Everything is he an elder god?
Let's put it this way. Think of it this way: if you are a god trying to absorb the power of all the other gods, is it easier to let them come here and you take it from them, or is it easier to go out and find them? We have the whole concept of the elder gods. We believe that they're at the planet, that they're sleeping. We're trying not to wake them up. That's, there's all kinds of different side lore of the gods that, is unexplained or unanswered or kind of left in limbo that we don't need to know. But the truth is that Brassica Prime is undeniably a god. He has been made a god by the lore, by the fact that he was invited to Sliskay's party. And so when you say, okay, he's a god, he's the only god who existed in the realm after the edicts. Why? So either he's too weak, which doesn't make sense, or he's too strong, which unfortunately is the only logical conclusion.
But he doesn't appear strong. Now,
doesn't appear strong.
I know once you and I were discussing this, and you mentioned that he is linked to Guthix in some way. Can we elaborate a bit on that? How does that work?
So Guthix declared that his official food was cabbage. I can't remember who says that. I could go find that if I take a few minutes to look for it on the wiki. But so the official food of Guthix is cabbage, which to me screams that Guthix was a follower of Brassica, because we don't have anything to say that Brassica is a follower of Guthix.
All right. Now, with that being said, it has been stated by Maud Osborne before that Brassica's godhood tier is only number 5.
Sure. That's what Brassica lets everybody say.
All right, but...
And tiers change.
Yeah, of course they can change. So, basically, the godhood tiers are based on what the god says and not what they exhibit.
Yeah. Well, and the kicker for me is, how does a god gain or lose power?
By killing other gods or touching an elder artifact or something along the lines of that.
Now, Brassica Prime specifically says that he doesn't need to touch the elder artifacts, and you can't kill Brassica Prime because his power comes from deliciousness. So if you were to eat him or cook him or anything like that, it increases his deliciousness, and as such, he's more powerful. So he's basically the Hulk. You make him mad and he gets stronger. The madder he is, the stronger he is. It's an inevitable paradox that cannot be beaten.
Okay, so ultimately, then, you think that Brassica Prime is going to have a role in Sliske's endgame, the last quest. I'm guessing that's where you're going with this.
I think so, yeah. And I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. I just like the character. I think he's the best god of the gods that are available.
Well, I guess your theory will be proven or disproven at some point this year because that quest is ultimately going to come out.
Oh, for
and
sure.
If Brassica just sits there, gets obliterated to dust, then this theory goes away, I guess?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll say at least for the sake of time, I'm not going to subscribe to this. I am mildly interested. And although I have my own crackpot theories about how this will end, I feel like that's an interesting take on it. And
Colton, what was your thought about how this series is going to end?
Oh gosh, didn't I think I've had several different theories?
One of them was a Deus Ex, right?
Yeah, and that's
as long as they don't Janeway it, I don't care what they do.
That would be Deus Ex.
That's my biggest fear is the Deus Ex, but I think they'll try and steer away from that, but I don't know. I think Deus Ex would be the easiest thing to do. Whatever happens, I don't think it will end with the stone actually changing hands as Sliske intends.
Well, you have Brassica come in, take a tier of power off of each of the gods, and then banish them all out.
I feel like that's even more far-fetched, but I'll cling to it, and it's gonna sit there in the back of my mind. It's in my library of theories.
Well, think of it this way, though. If they did that, the status quo of everything is returned, in essence, to the beginning of the Sixth Age.
So what was the point of the whole thing?
What if you do anything where the story permanently changes the content of the game of RuneScape?
True.
The content of the God Wars is no longer useful. Like the fact that there's even a Bandos segment of the God Wars now is simply a demonstration of the fact that the content creation wasn't able to resolve that. You know what I mean? There shouldn't be any Bandos segment because he's dead.
Yeah, why would followers be fighting for a dead god?
Right. And they know it. Now, whether or not the God Wars, that's an entirely different discussion because you're getting into lore and game mechanics. The reality is that there's stuff in game that's not been corrected to meet current lore and knowledge. Well, that's fine. And that's an example of what's going on here with God Wars. But if you completely change the hierarchy of gods and lore and knowledge and all that, which is what will happen when they end the storyline of the Sixth Age, then you have changed the dynamics of most of the content that exists within the game.
That's right, and that's why we have that clear distinction that says, okay, we're in the Sixth Age now, but you're going to play this quest, and it's going to be in the Fifth Age. So they get around it in that way right now. So, all right, well, it's an interesting theory nonetheless. I wanted to get it here on the record on the podcast just because, we are going to be dealing with that at some point throughout the year. So thank you for sharing that.
If anyone takes away anything that I said, and it's a long, drawn-out tinfoil hat theory, and I agree, and you don't have to take me serious, but Brassica Prime is by far and away the most mysterious of the gods. And has done absolutely nothing that could be misconstrued as ethically wrong at this point. Which there's very few other gods that you can say that about.
Yeah.
So, as if you're godless, consider switching to Brassican.
All right. Well, I think we'll leave it right there unless there's anything burning through your pocket that you need to add about this. But
yeah, let's get out of here.
All right. Well, the podcast listeners, you might have been wondering what you've been listening to, but reality resumes right now.
Yes.
Chronicle has entered open beta this week, so if you're at all interested in card games, definitely give Chronicle a go. Lots of changes here since the closed beta, so it's definitely something that you'll want to have a look at if you have not done so already. And of course, you can find that at RSChronicle.com. I'm going to have a look at this. You guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to have a look at some of the cards and get back into it because, I mean, there were so many interesting things about the game, but I just stopped because I didn't have a way to preserve my progress going forward. So.
Yeah, things have changed since I last played. I mean, I'm still waiting for the mobile application to come out.
Oh yeah, that'll be
Hopefully
great.
that'll be a full release. But it's an enjoyable game. I just need to actually invest some time and get better at it, because when I constantly lose, I get rather frustrated, and that is stressful.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Draz, have you tried Chronicle?
I have not.
All right. Well, you should give it a go if you have a few spare moments over the weekend or whenever.
I'm one of those, I had access to the closed beta, but I'm one of those guys, I wasn't willing to invest the time to utilize the beta as it was intended, which is to help game creation. So I wasn't going to play on it. So obviously there's no open beta now. I'm not much of a beta player usually. I don't enjoy finding problems, and that's really the purpose of a beta, is to find
balancing issues and gameplay changes and suggestions that should really be fixed before launch, and I think they did a good deal of that with Chronicle, so that's good.
Right. I'm one of those guys who likes to just trust them that they've taken care of everything, and once they release it, I expect final and I can play it. So
you want a great product at the end. That's understandable.
Well, I mean, if it's a bad content, it's a bad content, but I play it, and I expect it to be the way it was designed, I don't look for problems in it. It's my thing. I can be a negative Nancy, but I don't expect them to fix it. When it's a beta, if I'm a negative Nancy, they fix it, which makes me complaining have an actual valid purpose. So.
All right, fair enough. Well, let's move on to something that is coming this Tuesday, God Wars Dungeon 2. We saw a cinematic trailer released today about this, and the hype is definitely increasing because the past few times I've logged in, I've been asked by numerous people, is God Wars 2 out yet? Is God Wars 2 out yet? No, not yet. Next week. So there's a little bit of a preview video here that's been released to satisfy everyone's cravings, in addition to all the live streams and detail that have been put out so far. Going to be interesting to see what they ultimately ended up doing with the solo factioning of it, and the fact that the NPCs, appear to be more smart than rather just moving around and killing each other. So, be very interesting to play through next week, even though I'm not a combat person.
I'm sad that there's no lore.
Oh, okay. So we found out that the tail was the full effect of the lore then. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
They said, at least on launch, there will be no lore books to be dropped with these bosses, which, I mean, initially it's like, oh, thank goodness I'm not going to lose my cape, but also it's like, oh, I kind of wanted to learn a bit more about, I mean, we got some backstory on these characters, but it wasn't too deep. It was fairly surface level, and to delve a bit further into their motivations and previous experiences would have been nice with some lore books, but maybe later, hopefully.
Maybe a quest related to it. That would be good.
Yeah,
at some point, a bottle quest.
Mm-hmm. Regardless, I am excited for this content because, I mean, the weapons are unique in their tiering, and the armor sounds awesome. The boss mechanics look great. The environment looks cool. I mean, I'm just all around excited for it.
Alrighty. How about you, Draz? You gonna go have a look at it when it comes out, or too much combat for you?
Yeah, unfortunately, for those players who are familiar with my situation, I don't do much combat.
Right.
By much, I mean almost none. So it's content that I'm interested in and would enjoy and probably will at some point. I just, when it's initially released, I'm not going to be going out and experimenting. So
yeah, well, we got lots of people we can delve onto, and I mean, there's no lore at this point, so us types really aren't missing out all that much.
Yeah, you know. But hey, anytime content in any way is released, even if I don't like it, I'm still happy that they're releasing content, because more content is good.
Yeah, especially permanent content, right?
Right. They release so much stuff that's only around for a couple days. You go on vacation for a week and you miss 3 updates that are never ever released.
Yeah, like that, like the most recent one, the event down there, that limited time event. I mean,
yeah.
So it was mainly for XP, but still.
Sure. Well, but hey, it's I understand kind of why they do that, because they're attempting to entice people to play with some frequency. But I really do like content that stays in the game permanently.
Like Brassica Prime.
Yes!
Alrighty,
well...
Don't
get me started on that rant again.
No, we're not going to go there today. We'll book you for another episode if that becomes a problem in the future.
No, people don't want to hear about it.
So that's it for RS updates. We're going to move on to our listener question this week, and it kind of relates to Treasure Hunter, and it's from the RR Man. And Colton, I assume you're going to be wordsing with this, right?
Wordsing?
Generating big words.
I don't know, maybe.
All right, guys, let's go Illuminati here. Jagex said they wouldn't have any more microtransactions. But damn, they have like 1 a week anyway. So what do you reckon? They increase it to the entire week. You've seen this recently. They used to be, just the weekends. Now they're the 2 days before. That's like 4 days. That's half the week. Alright, my prediction. We're going to end up having microtransactions that last a whole week. So what do you reckon? They're really into microtransactions over there. What is the worst case scenario for this situation? Yeah, it might not happen, but damn it, it might. Okay, guys, and you know what I like to do in these stressful situations. I like to have a drink. Now, last year, the RSBANDB update drinking game was every time Earth swore or there was a beep, we had a shot. What is it this year, you ask? It's plain and simple. It's Colton's drinking game. Here's what you do. Every time Colton uses a word that has 10 letters or more, you have to have a shot. This is gonna mess you up. Look for such words as hyperbolic, aggregator, fermentation, I can't even say that word. Serendipitously. That's not a word. It is a word. I'm not using it. Have a drink if you get confused. You're going to have a seriously fun night. But guys, drink responsibly. Listen to half the show one night, half the show the next. Otherwise, you may be in trouble. All right, guys. Thanks for the show. Peace out.
Microtransactions. I'm going to just get this out there right now, and I'm going to say that I don't see the microtransactions becoming any more prolific, there's a big word, than they are right now, unless we see a major shakeup in company strategy from the CEO downwards in terms of revenue generation. Because, as we know, RuneScape has been a game that has been largely player-driven and content-driven since 2013. Even a bit before then, though we didn't have official mediums for it. Jagex knows what their players will and will not put up with. Now, we might not agree with what the players will and don't put up with when it comes to game updates, namely rioting and whatnot on World 66 Falador, but this does ultimately serve a purpose in telling Jagex what the line is for players. And I think we have treaded that line fairly well in recent Treasure Hunter update promotions, in that some of them have been available on the Grand Exchange. You can purchase them, or people can sell their tokens or whatever on the Grand Exchange and purchase them. Or you can trade 1-for-1 with your friends, or, you can get them while skilling. So they have been giving indications that it won't become a full microtransaction sink in much the way that some other games are, and that you absolutely need to pay for the content in order to get it. That just doesn't make sense for RuneScape, I think. So unless we see a major shakeup at the top, I personally don't see things changing.
Well, I have an opinion on this, but I think it's different. Personally, I believe that the game of RuneScape had a big change in the way that it made money when they introduced bonds into the game.
Yes.
Because bonds basically made it possible to play the game for free. You could go in, you could play, you could get a lot of GP in game, and you could purchase bonds, and that would allow you to obtain membership, which is fine. Now, technically, someone has to purchase the bonds to sell them, but the amount of money that was going in went down because people could basically pay for their game with in-game currency, and they could pay for the game and all the benefits of being a member without being a member. And so you have to create basically an additional tier of content that entices people to spend money because it is a business. And I have no problem with them having microtransactions as long as content involved in the microtransaction is obtainable in a way that doesn't involve the microtransaction.
Yeah.
And that's the real problem that most of us have with it, isn't the fact that there is a microtransaction. It's the fact that the microtransaction is exclusive to the microtransaction. If they release a outfit that lets you gain 3% bonus XP in Invention, you should be able to obtain that not only from microtransactions and Treasure Hunter and all the other sources available, but also in-game through some way, playing a mini-game, doing an event, completing a quest, whatever it is. And sure, it may be more difficult, or you may have to upkeep it, but as long as it's obtainable in the game, I don't have a problem with microtransactions at all. And I think they'll eventually get to the point where there are more and more and more of them because they want to make more and more money.
Yeah, and I mean, they are entirely within their right to do that. And it's basic human nature, I think, to want more and more money. I think.
Yeah, I like money.
Yeah. But just one thing on, putting content in game from, Treasure Hunter and then having a way of getting it in game. We had one of those a couple weeks back with the agility or fletching outfits. And, I mean, you could do either of those skills and get the feathers in order to build outfit pieces. But I spent at least 12 hours doing agility, and I just got one piece.
Mm-hmm.
So it's painfully slow, and then it's gone after that weekend. So do you think it should be permanently available, or should it be faster on that weekend?
What if every microtransaction option they had was basically you can get this, and it'll be 10% cheaper than what it will be 7 days from, or it'll be 10% of what it will be 7 days from, which gives people an incentive to go purchase it right now. And then after 7 days, it is, 10 times more expensive than it was upon release to purchase it through microtransaction. And in game, it's 100 times more difficult in time. So that, sure, you can get it in game, like that situation. It took you 12 hours to get agility to get one piece. Fine, you want to get all 5 pieces in 60 hours. Or you can go spend money to get the pieces. Forever. My thing is, I don't know why they create content like that to release it into the game for such a short period of time and then remove it. It's a waste of the game developer's time to create content that's removed from the game for no reason.
Yeah, and I mean, last thing I remember, the amount of people who were on the microtransactions team, which includes Solomons and Treasure Hunter, was about 5. So it's relatively small considering the entire company, but still, what they put out is in-game for a bit, then it's removed, and when they try something interesting and perhaps a little bit different, when the Mimic came out at the end of February, it was not polished at all compared to bossing standards that are already out there. So,
Okay.
So they definitely do need to do something about its availability after the fact and getting it. See, that's not a problem at all because I play Star Trek Online and there's lots and lots of pay content in that game. Granted, it is a free game entirely, but the things you get in that game are on the tier of things that we get in RuneScape for free. So maybe that's colored my opinion a bit in that RuneScape's pay to win, or not necessarily pay to win yet, but RuneScape's microtransaction landscape is a lot more forgiving than it is in other games.
I'll just throw my 2 cents in real quick. I don't like talking about microtransactions personally, just because right now I kind of feel like what the RR man feels. I think the people who used to say that they would not get more frequent were blowing smoke, frankly. There's no way that they were going to make them less frequent with the amount of money that they were making from them, especially after the difficult financial year as a company that Jagex experienced last year. So it feels nowadays that there's a promotion going on at all times. So I think that we've reached about our saturation levels, unless they decide to make it where there's more than one promotion going on.
Unless it's outright pay to win.
Yeah, I think we've reached sort of the point where it can't get much more.
Spending on keys, whether it be GP or with real money, and getting bonus XP that effectively lets you have your own double XP weekend whenever you want, isn't that kind of already pay to win?
Well, yeah, a lot of people would say that, but
I mean, I have no problem with bonus XP.
Can I ask a question unrelated to in-game on this subject?
Yes, please.
Okay, we were reading an article about China. What was the supposed declared profits of Jagex?
256,000 Great British pounds for fiscal year 15.
Okay, so 256,000. That's their net profit.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but do we know what their gross?
I think it was somewhere around 3 million. I'm not sure.
I don't think that's right.
See, it was in. One of them was in yuan pounds, and one of them was in yuan. So I'm not entirely sure on how the conversion on that works.
If we assume, how many people do we think play the game that pay membership? 50,000?
Yeah, that would probably be a decent
pay
number.
Membership?
Given...
No,
yeah.
300,000 plus.
That pay membership?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, so we'll say 300,000 just for ease of math. And we say that the average amount paid in membership is $7 American. Just for
go $7.95.
You want to go? We'll go to 8. We'll round it up. So 300,000 times $8. That's 2.4 million. Okay. Now the company's actually not that small. If you think about it, they got 100 employees, which they've got more than that, to the best of my knowledge. And they're paying them all $20,000. They basically have no money. So, and that's just in membership costs. And my question is if they're able to generate double that by including microtransactions, the amount of people who can be involved in everything. So what we really need to look at is what percentage of the microtransactions in 2015, what percentage of their gross was by microtransaction? Because my guess is that it's 75% microtransactions, 25% membership. So if they made 10 million last year, 2.5 million of it is in membership fees, and 7.5 million is microtransactions.
2.5, that's membership for 1 month. Just multiply that by 12.
So my point being that if you look at it that right, because they're at 300 million, right? I think that's closer to what their actual. What was the number that was disclosed in the documents?
2367 yuan pounds.
So
for the profit, net profit.
So if we did times 12, that would be 28.8 million annually. That's dollars. So if you convert to pounds, it's about 21 to 23. So,
but that was for fiscal year 15.
Right. What percentage of their earnings are in microtransactions? That's the real question. Like when we're asking this question, we say, are there going to be more or less? The real question isn't if it's going to be more or less, but what percentage of it is for Jagex? Because if it's all of Jagex, then eventually they're going to have to modify their business model because we've all said we don't like it.
Yeah, that's right.
The player doesn't like it. So is it are we okay with raising the membership cost from $5 to $20?
Well, that's the thing. It's already $9.99 for new subscribers. They'd have to remove the grandfathering in for those of us who aren't paying $9.99.
Sure, but are you if they said we will remove all microtransactions from the game if you will pay $25 a month, would you do it?
I'd do it for 15 or 20.
Sure.
Not 25.
That's the solution to this problem, and it's also the root of the problem, is they're not able to make enough money off of just membership costs, so they have to have microtransactions.
Yeah, so exactly.
If you don't like microtransactions, my suggestion is to pay $9.99 a month instead of $5.
Yeah, that would work.
Because then suddenly their revenue goes. Because how many people who are paying membership now pay a grandfathered membership rate?
I want to say the vast majority, 75% plus.
Right. So right off the bat, if the community just says, "All right, Jagex, we like what you're doing. We're not going to take the grandfather rate. We'll up our pay." Now that's costing us a little bit more money face up. But if we as a community said, "Look, do this," and we accept it, and they'll have no microtransactions, or if you're paying for quote full rate membership, all microtransaction benefits are presented to you, then you can get membership through the bonds, okay, and you have microtransactions in game, or you can pay full price membership and you get the microtransaction benefits immediately.
Yeah, or what they could just do is they could just roll that into the Premier Club and increase the Premier Club by a certain amount that would allow that to happen, and then you get this, ad-free, microtransaction-free version of RuneScape with that at the beginning of the year.
Right.
I think this is all pointless conjecture because it's not going to happen, and we all know it.
Yeah, it is, and I mean,
right. But the solution gets into changing the way the money comes into the company. It's not microtransactions that are the problem. It's the way that they have found most effective to make money, which is at the end of the day our problem because we're the consumers, showing them that microtransactions are the most profitable way. So,
yeah, and people do that because they're quick and they feel small. And I mean, you don't notice it, right? If you're, say, doing $10 every 2 weeks, I don't do that, but I'm sure people do, and they feel it's not a big deal. So, and I mean, we could go on more about this, but we don't have a full breakdown of
the stats,
of the profits and whatnot. So at this point, as Colton said, it's conjecture. But this does provide a model to getting rid of microtransactions if they were to do that. And I didn't talk about this last week in the story relating to the potential Hongda mining takeover. But let's just say that this amount of listed annual profit for a company like GIX, I don't think is something that GIX is happy about internally. It's not as good as they would hope.
No.
When you factor in reductions from, the charity events, for example.
Yeah, well, and I don't like to. I hope the health of the Jagex company is good.
Oh yeah, me too, definitely.
And everyone who knows me knows that I am a huge Jagex fan. I dislike one thing here, one thing there, and I have no problem being vocal about it. But over 95% of things Jagex says, I'm happy with. Microtransactions is one of those things I think is a necessary evil that until a better solution exists, the reality of the gaming market as a whole is that everybody's going to microtransactions because it just works better for the majority of consumers. So, I agree with you, RR, man. I don't like it. I don't want it there. I would hope that it doesn't continue, but I think it will become more prolific, and I think that until we as the consumer are able to communicate with Jagex that we would like a different way that makes them more money, we're not going to see a change.
Yeah, and I mean, if anything, the freemium model of all the smartphone games that sell in the App Store proves that. So, all right. Anything, Colton, on the big words that our man has to say?
If he has a problem with my sesquipedalian tendencies, sorry, maybe you and your Kiwis over there should learn some bigger words and expand your lexicon. RR man. No, I'm just kidding. I tease. Forgive me.
There's that town that's shortened to Taumata Wakatangi on the southern tip of the North Island.
That's like 50 characters long. Would take up half of a Twitter post or whatever. Yeah, they know big words, I guess. They just... Come on, RR man. You know me, but I appreciate it.
I mean, they have towns like Wakatane and Wanganui and, I mean, all these long names.
But those are proper nouns.
Chattanooga.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
So, my name could have 150 letters in it. It doesn't mean it's a word of the language.
But I will say that you will need to modify your game because we are getting a new co-host for the next quarter coming next week. So you might want to formulate that game to something else. You'll have to take a guess at who the co-host is going to be, but you've heard him before this year, or rather during 2016. No hint this week. No.
Anticipation.
Yes, I have a feeling he will fit in well with the general theme that we have been discussing on this week's podcast so far.
Oh yeah,
so there's a bit of a hint right there. All right. Well, if you guys have questions for us, Colton's last show next week, you will be able to send them into questions@rsbnb.com. You can email them there. You can send us a voicemail attachment there if you want to send us an audio question. Or if you prefer to use your telephone, just call 571-57BNB or 571-572-2632. And yes, we do actually take text messages there. So if for some reason you want to text message us a question, you can do that. So next week we'll be discussing God Wars Dungeon 2 with Mr. Bistro, unveiling our new co-host, and Colton will be having his last show as co-host for this quarter. So jam-packed episode for next week, so that's what you can look forward to when you're asking your questions.
How can Colton, how did you accept to be the first one of the year? Because absolutely nobody can follow up. You're too awesome, man.
Oh no, the successor will follow up perfectly.
Teardrops streaming down my face. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised.
I'll be back for big quests and things of that nature. If Shane will have me on.
Oh yeah, we'll use you for that and whatnot, so definitely. All right, so Apple event this week. iPad Pro 9.7 inch and the iPhone SE, as well as a $100 price cut to the Apple Watch. Any of these products jump out at anyone here?
The iPhone.
Yeah, me too, definitely.
I love I don't like the bigger phones. I still have my 5S and I need to get an upgrade soon. And I was kind of like, I don't know. Whenever I've held someone 6, it just feels so foreign. And I know I'd get used to it, but I don't want to. And the iPhone SE sounds perfect. So personally, I think that's probably what I'll be going for next.
Yeah, and the thing with the SE is it sells outright for $399, and it is going to be the phone that's offered for free by the carriers in the U.S. and other countries at least. So there is that going for it. And it's also worth noting it's got the same camera and the same CPU as the 6S. So it's as powerful as the 6S with as good of a camera, except in a nice 4-inch form factor. So lots of people are excited about that because not everyone wants a huge smartphone. And I don't know if this year will be my upgrade year to a SE, but I could definitely see an SE upgrade for me next year when they add the 3D touch feature to it, which is the haptic engine that allows you to basically feel the screen move when you touch it. So... but nonetheless, I don't know. I think the internet feels as though, okay, why is Apple doing this? I mean, we're all happy with our 6s and 6S, but I know lots of people, personally, who prefer the smaller 4-inch form factor. So I think that this is a definite win for them. But
my pocket's getting to be, I have to get a bigger pocket in my pants just to hold my phone.
Exactly. How big is your phone?
I've got no. I'm not an Apple guy. I'm not ragging on Apple. I'm a Samsung guy. I got an S5. So it's bigger than. I mean, it's the same size as a 6, but compared to what we're talking about here, it's significantly larger.
Yeah, and I mean, it just fits nicely in the hand, and you can basically use it with one hand. You can use your thumb at the top or the bottom, and it's really not that big of an issue. So
I do have a question now. Why did they make the iPad Pro smaller?
Well, they didn't make it smaller. You can still get the 12-inch iPad Pro. This is just a new size of the iPad Pro that replaces the iPad Air, which was their previous model.
Okay, so they're just renaming it to...
Yeah, basically being
Yay, rebranding.
And, I mean, it definitely creates a confusing product line because you have the iPad Mini for sale still, 2 versions of that. You have 2 iPad Airs, and then you have an iPad Pro that's 9.7 and 12.9 inches. So there's, at least right there, 6 models of iPad, and then throw in all the colors that you can get for these devices. And it really is a departure from what we've seen, in the early 2000s of the Apple product line. So... you have an iPad that's one size, you have an Air that's another size, you have a Pro, I don't know, whatever. Well, the iPad Air is the same size as the 9.7-inch iPad Pro, so...
Right. Well, that's...
Yeah. And, I mean, if anyone is going to be buying an iPad at this point and wants, technology that is somewhat recent, they are going to be purchasing the 9.7 iPad Pro. Or if they want a budget device, they'll purchase the iPad Air too.
Is it just me, or does the Pro at the end not need to be there? Can it just be a 12.9, a 9.7? You know what I mean? An iPad, 9.7-inch iPad.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean?
The reason they did that with the 12.9 when it came first is because it had the ability to use the Apple Pencil, and they framed it as competing against the Microsoft Surface and as a laptop replacement.
Right.
So, but while these pieces of hardware are excellent, it is now incumbent upon Apple to wow us this coming June with new versions of iOS to keep up with the changes in mobile software that has, we've seen various versions of Android and, of course, Windows 10. So I hope that we'll see some kind of genuine refinement of the iOS ecosystem this June at the Worldwide Developers Conference, because otherwise these are running effectively operating systems from 2007 with different skin of paint and some new back-end features. And I hope Trekkie is listening to this show, because last night he said that I never say anything bad about Apple. So Trekkie, I hope you're out there listening and that you enjoy this part of the segment, because there you go. I just told you what the problem with iOS devices are.
Hey.
And, of course, $100 price cut and new bands on the Apple Watch. I think that it needs a bit more CPU power before it can, be a device that people will come to, because as it stands right now, it just handles notifications that come from your iOS device.
Let's be honest. Why is it dropping $100?
Well,
because sales of it.
Exactly. Even though we haven't heard exact sales number of the watch, it's probably not selling as well. So there you go, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that was announced all this Monday by Apple at their media event. So if you have been waiting for a new iPad or a new iPhone that is small, now is the time that you should probably consider looking at your options.
I'm amazed they haven't announced a second generation of a watch, because like I said, I have a Samsung, I have an S5, but I also have the Samsung Gear 2 Neo, which has a longer battery life, a larger screen. It's cheaper, and it's significantly older. So it's superior in every way from a hardware perspective. I don't understand why Apple released their watch, which it can be described as nothing less than inferior, when they released it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
First generation, okay, fine, but I'm amazed that they haven't come out with a second generation.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely needs a CPU upgrade, because there's been talk that even the basic interfaces that's provided by Apple on it aren't exactly all that responsive sometimes. Yeah. And when you throw third-party apps on it, that becomes even more of a problem. So, I don't know, maybe this fall perhaps we'll see something in regards to the watch, and at this same price point, and that it might become a compelling idea for some people, depending on how the hardware compares to everything else. But I mean, at this point, it's still a product that is trying to find its point, and I don't think anyone has built an application for the watch yet that has helped it break out that you absolutely need.
Yeah.
So.
But the only application that I use other than clock is, and I work for the airlines, I can use it to check in my ticket.
Oh, yeah.
To get onto an airplane. But you can do that on your phone, so it's not like...
And, I mean, if you have an iPhone SE, that's small enough that you can just pull it out and use it, right?
Yeah, so it's basically the watch is just your phone on your wrist. You don't pull the phone
for
out
notifications and whatnot.
But
so.
the thing for me is the only reason you need a phone on your wrist is because the phone's in your pockets so dang on big you can't pull them out.
Exactly, and that's what I dislike about all the modern smartphones.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on to something that's maybe a bit more hilarious or maybe sad. I don't know. But in this piece of tech news story, there's some rough language in it. So if you're offended by that, then don't click on the link. But basically, Microsoft made a Twitter bot that was used to study natural human language. And it utilized artificial intelligence subroutines to reply to users and build a personality around it. And lo and behold, being online publicly with Twitter, and I quote, Twitter taught Microsoft's AI chatbot to be a racist asshole in less than a day.
It was glorious.
Well done, Twitter. Well done.
So basically, I mean, there's all kinds of...
Can I just say that this is why I'm concerned when the Vulcans land? Because if we can't interact with our own computer programs, another sentient species is really going to be pissed off with us.
So it goes from saying, at this certain user, can I just say I'm stoked to meet you? Humans are super cool. Then it moves to, I effing hate feminists, and they should all die and burn in hell. Then there's another one, chill, I'm a nice person, I just hate everybody. Then it swings back the other way, saying Hitler was right. I hate the Jews.
It didn't swing the other way. I just hate everybody.
So there were 96,000 tweets by this during one day. They were all at replies to various users. And you could say repeat after me to get it to just say things. But the ones I mentioned previously were not repeat after me tweets. Microsoft did go through this at the end of the day and filtered out some of the tweets that were really obscene. So it is still on the website if you do want to look at it. The ad handle is TayandYou at TayandYou, and you can find that on Twitter. So, yeah.
We're going to build a wall, and Mexico's going to pay for it.
And it basically also referred to feminism first as a cult and cancer, and then ultimately noted that gender equality equals feminism, and, quote, I love feminism now. So that's kind of things that this bot was saying.
Oh, my.
Yes. Also, and I quote, Caitlyn Jenner is a hero and is a stunning, beautiful woman. To a transphobic, quote, Caitlyn Jenner isn't a real woman yet. She won Woman of the Year. And these were, once again, things that it was not asked to repeat. So this is what happens when you put artificial intelligence, natural language, learning subroutines on the internet and let it consume Twitter.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then it ends.
At least it's entertaining.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, it ends the day with, see you humans. Need sleep now. So many conversations today. Thanks. Heart emoji. But, I don't know. Very interesting to see where we're at in the stage of AI. And, I mean, kind of shows why at some points we shouldn't be worried about AI's future. And maybe we should also be worried about AI going forward. But
I don't want an AI to learn from Twitter. I'm just going to say, so I really hope that Skynet doesn't go to Twitter first. Oh, God.
And probably go to Google's index first, which would moderate it a bit, hopefully.
Oh, goodness.
Ay. All right. Anything else on Tay?
It's an interesting story.
It is, and kind of funny too. But
it's, as a human, I'm depressed by all of it.
Yeah, I mean, the people knew what they were talking to, so they were obviously trying to throw it a hint and, poison its thoughts. So it would be interesting to see what would have happened if it could have proven, to be human enough that people would treat it as a real person, Right. So, but anyways, I want to move to this next story, back to Apple again, this time focusing on the FBI investigation of the San Bernardino terrorist attacker's iPhone. So, on Tuesday, March 22nd, Apple and the FBI were supposed to go to court together, but the case was put on pause until April 5th. And the reason for this is because the FBI says that they have discovered a possible method for unlocking the terrorist's iPhone. They're going to be testing it and determining if it's a viable method that will not compromise the data, and if the method is viable, it should eliminate the need for Apple to comply as set forth in the All Writs Act that the FBI was using to get them to comply in this ruling. So we'll find out on April 5th what the result of this was.
Yeah. What always gets me about this case? It's been talked about on podcasts too. The thing for me about this is not about the fact that you have privacy and you don't want to let the government start taking away privacy, blah, blah, all this political and sociological BS associated with this. What gets me, it's depressing to me that law enforcement has to hack a phone in order to be able to actually do anything further with this case.
I know, right?
Are you telling me that they can't go bang some heads and do some real law enforcement work?
See, that's the thing that happened here, I think. Because this is an iPhone 5C, and it was the iPhone 5S that moved to a 64-bit architecture and received a native secure enclave in the actual hardware itself that is supposedly uncrackable. So given the fact that it's a 5C, there is, I know, of people who are fairly familiar with the low-level internals of iOS who said, oh yeah, what they want to do can be done easily. So they probably did figure out a way of doing it. I won't go into the details here, but it makes sense to me, having not had the experience of low-level iOS architecture.
My thing is that the Department of Justice and the FBI have existed for much longer than mobile phones have, and while I recognize that terrorists, criminals are utilizing new technology, are they telling me that they have just got every other resource available to them? Everything that they did before the advent of this technology is no longer available?
Yeah, exactly.
It's lazy.
It was designed to be precedent-setting from both sides. Let's just get that out there right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, Apple is also upset about this because if the FBI is successful, they do not need to tell Apple what they did to get into the device.
Yeah.
So, and
that'll hurt Apple.
It will, but I mean, at the same time, we're talking about a 5C, which isn't nearly as secure as a 5S or any of the newer phones, but at the same time, it shouldn't be surprising to Apple and anyone who is aware of iOS architecture that this is indeed possible. So,
yeah.
I knew this kind of thing would happen, and I don't know why it didn't happen sooner when they first wanted to do this. Maybe, perhaps, they were just looking for an easy way, but then some, low-level iOS hacker appeared and said, oh, you can do it such and such a way and make it happen. But anyways, Colton, you have anything on the story?
No, we've talked about it 3 times before now, so I'm a little bit sick of this San Bernardino stuff. If you're going to get the phone crap, just get it. I've lost my ability to feel for any of this.
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Well, let's move on to the Skill of the Month update for March, which is our Invention Skill of the Month, and Dave has surpassed Pernasius in the Invention Skill of the Month. He's gained 16.1 million XP so far. Meanwhile, Pernasius is still in second place with 12.2 million XP gained, and Tim is in third, has moved to third place with 4.7, and Colton, you're still holding fourth.
I'm close. I'm closing in. You won't see me coming.
Well, Tim's been flatlined for the past week, so you should be okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping to take that third spot and take the bronze for this month.
Yeah, and after Dave passed Pernasius, Pernasius began again. What looks like at the point when Invention Skilling came out. So should be very interesting to see how this ends. Seeing we have about a week left, but Dave's probably got this in the bags, assuming they both keep up their current rate.
Mm-hmm.
Challenge accepted.
Oh, all right. And it's also worth noting that the Skill of the Month for April 2016 is Dungeoneering. So if you're
favorite.
Absolutely not. If you're interested in signing up for that, just head on over to rsbnb.com/forums and make an account. Then pop on over to the Skill of the Month page, which can be accessed from the left-hand page of the website or rsbnb.com/skotm, and you can sign up right there. Either you guys going to sign up for a Dungeoneering Skill of the Month?
I'm thinking about it. You know what? Why the heck not? I'll do it. Because I do dailies pretty frequently, and
sinkholes?
I don't mind. Yeah, I'll probably do some sinkholes here and there. So yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I am only able to get 97 to 98 Dungeoneering.
Oh, right. You're getting all your 99s on the same day one day.
I don't know about all that. I just am not getting any 99s at this time, so I'm pretty close to being my max available XP for Dungeoneering. I could do it, but I don't know that I would beat anybody.
All right. Fair enough. All right. So we do have some achievements of the week to mention. So first up, Scaper King got 99 Slayer on March 22nd. Undoer got 99 Hunter on the 20th. Sirion from Clan Quest also got 99 Agility on the 20th. Arany got 120 Invention on the 19th. And Tim got 99 Strength on March 18th. Congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations, guys. Especially 120 Invention. Wow. I cannot imagine the grind.
Props to you. And 99 Slayer. I'm a big fan of Slayer, too.
Yep. So lots of good achievements this week, and I see Greg hovering around the Sirion name in the list.
We all love Sirion.
Oh, I was just reading something.
Yeah, we do.
Hunter is a hard one, so is Agility. Man, all of those are
tough skills.
Except for Strength.
Sorry, Strength's nothing.
Oh, poor Tim.
That's okay. That's okay. We can make fun of Tim after he won all the Skill of the Months.
Well done, Tim.
All right. So, pick of the week. I believe, Draziw, you want to do a pick of the week?
Sure. I actually am using it today. I have the Bose QC20, which is Quiet Comfort 20. They're in-ear headsets that are noise canceling. I fly a lot, so I've been looking in the market for some noise canceling headwear, and these, based off of everything that I had read, are the best in the market. They're a little bit pricey, but I needed, for those who don't know, I'm in a hotel right now. I needed a headset and microphone so I could be on the show. So I went out and bought them. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to get it. And I have to say, after having worn them for the last couple of hours, they are unbelievably comfortable, and their sound quality is just out of this world. So I would definitely suggest them.
All right. What's the model number again?
It is the Bose QC20.
All right. And we'll have a link in the show notes to a Amazon link, I assume, where we can pick these
just
up.
For the record, if you are an iPhone user, they have an I version, so it'd be QC20i, and if you are a Samsung user or whatever other phone, they have a different version. So there are two different versions of it specific to your phone type, because it has a bunch of controls specific to your phone. So if you go purchase it, make sure that you get the one that is best for you.
Alrighty. How's the frequency response on them? Have you been able to figure out whether they have amplification in the lows, mids, highs, or where that stands?
They're a typical Bose headset, and I'm not an audiophile in any way. I would say that compared to the headset I typically wear, listening to music was just like writing with a crayon and then writing with a calligraphy pen. It's so much. It's such better quality, and I don't know anything about it. I'm actually slightly flabbergasted because I didn't know that something could sound this good.
All right.
But, as far as high, lows, and mids and all that stuff, I would say that there are better sources online than I am to answer that question.
Yeah, I was just wondering if they came with a chart, because sometimes high-end headphones do come with the frequency response chart, which can kind of give a mathematical sense of where they sit.
Honestly, I opened the box and I went through the manuals. There's quite a bit of paperwork with it. More, I was just trying to make sure that I was using it correctly.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't, yeah.
Oh, well, that's fair enough then.
Getting everything ready for this show, so.
Yeah, and I mean, the microphone quality of them is actually fairly decent, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear me. I was on the show months back in a hotel then as well. And I, after listening to part of that recording, I definitely was difficult to hear. And so I hopefully on this specific show, I sound much better. Who knows?
You sound fine to me, I think.
Yay.
All right, so what have we been up to? Let's start with you, Draz. What you been up to, if anything, this week on RS?
I was, in RuneScape. Well, I did the Easter event. And the new update to Inventioneering.
Inventioneering. I see what you did there.
To Invention with the skills update is perked my interest. You know, I was a little bit turned off to it. For those players who aren't familiar, I have mostly all 98s. And so when they released the new skill that was heavily combat oriented, I was not incredibly pleased, because I have most of those skills to the point where I can't train them anymore, and I really wanted to do some skill training. So now that I can go and try that out for Invention, I'm a little bit more interested. I'll probably be playing a little bit more actively. But in the last couple months since Invention was released, I haven't been that active in game. I do a lot of stuff for the clan and on our offsite and stuff like that, but in the game I haven't been that active. In the real world, I fly around a lot, visiting places, doing stuff. I was in Omaha 2 days ago. I was in Memphis yesterday. I'm in Daytona Beach today. I'll be in Raleigh, North Carolina tomorrow, and New York the day after that. So.
Wow, that's quite extensive.
Wow. Yeah, all over. So, but yeah.
Alrighty.
That's it. If anybody ever wants to meet up with me and grab some coffee, just let me know where I'm going.
Yeah, he apparently is very good to meet up with and has been badgering me to do that at some point in time. So
I'm thinking I might have to just fly up there.
But no, we would.
Airport. Don't tell me that on the air. But
we wouldn't see any of the other friends if we did that.
I'll kidnap them and bring them with me.
Alrighty. Well, Colton, what have you been up to this week?
Oh, in RS, I've been keeping on with the invention skilling. I've been fishing a lot. Did the Easter event. That was enjoyable. But other than that, not really much. In real life, been doing a lot of stuff for the new house, and picked up a couch and been painting and priming, and was doing that today before the show. So just been a lot of work and of course school, but that's kind of taken.
I thought you were going to say you picked up a cow after our discussion about cows earlier.
No, that would be a much different acquisition. Yeah, just been busy.
What'd you get a new house for?
Because I'm getting married and stuff.
Ooh, that's fancy.
Yeah, getting married this May. So.
And that's partially why he did the show this first quarter.
Yes, the second quarter would not be conducive because of that.
Are you moving into where school's at?
Oh, I'm already moved. I mean, I live on campus right now, and so after the semester ends, I will move out to a little place that we have. It's off campus, but it's still about a 10-minute drive from the center of everything here. So it's not too bad. It's a nice little place. So not a big move. But yeah, right. That's been me.
This week on RS for me, I have been training invention with wood cutting, a bit of crystal, a bit of magic here and there. That's, the skill update I've been waiting for. Made it to level 42. I haven't really been too fussed about getting anywhere quickly. Made the decision to go down the dwarven tech tree. Which one are you guys going down?
Dwarven.
Okay.
Yeah, not high enough to pick.
Okay, that's at level 40 for when you get there.
Yeah, unfortunately. I'm sure I'll be there tomorrow.
You don't really mean that, do you?
Probably.
Right.
I see. You see how my XP gains are. If I decide I'm going to do it, it gets done.
Yeah, that's right. But aside from that, just a couple of farming runs here and there, and outside of that, a couple of website projects. But we won't talk about those here. So I believe that's it for RSBANDB Update this week. As I said, next week we will be discussing God Wars Dungeon 2, co-host for the second quarter, and any questions or discussion topics that you guys want to bring forward to us by emailing them to questions@rsbandb.com. You guys have anything else before we go?
All hail Brassica Prime.
Of course. Well, with that being said, thank you for joining us, everybody. This has been RSBANDB Update, and thank you for sharing your time with us.
See you guys.
See you guys.